Hey, I'm Katherine from Brandequip Designs, and today I'm talking to you about how branding lost its meaning. Now, I know this sounds kind of, what are you talking about? But really what it comes down to is that there is this common misconception that branding means design. Design means branding, and the two terms are synonymous. This is not true, and there are really two main factors that are contributing to this definition, this incorrect definition, and they are that there is an oversaturated market of graphic designers, and secondly, that there have been a ton of software startups that use this kind of terminology in their marketing. As I just said, one of the big reasons for this misinterpretation of branding being all about design is that there is an oversaturated market for graphic designers. Now, graphic design has never been more important in today's very visual world. I think we can all agree that we are living in a very visual world and very digital world. And so graphic design is very important there. And yes, there are so many design positions available in companies. However, there are even more designers looking to be hired in those positions. I think we all know what happens here because this is not unique to the design industry. Companies can be choosy and make 2 years of experience one of the requirements for an entry-level position. However, the difference is that the graphic designer has the ability to make a difference and actually change their experience level without having to be hired by your company first to do so. And that answer is freelancing. So a lot of times graphic designers will choose to start freelancing as a way to gain more experience, both so that they can land a job in the company that they're looking to work for, and also sometimes they'll want to make a little bit of side money. So sometimes a designer who is making side money already has a position in a company and maybe already has a bit of experience, but the fact of the matter is that they're not doing it for clients. Like, they're not looking to develop a brand for a client necessarily. They're looking to develop another item for their portfolio and or make a little bit of extra cash on the side. They're not looking to make a living off of this. Now, I wanted to make sure that this goal is very obvious and clear, because it does come up in the reason why this is not useful for entrepreneurs and what ends up happening because of this result. So these designers who are freelancing in order to gain a bit of money, side income, and maybe to gain some experience to land the position that they want in a company, is that they know that they don't have a ton of experience a lot of times, and they don't need to make a living off of it, and so they tend to offer lower prices for design work. Now, this should be a red flag for entrepreneurs. However, it's often more of like a gold mine for them. At least that's how they see it. Small businesses and small business owners have been told that branding is really important, and suddenly they have this option to hire a designer for a fraction of what some of the others charge, not realizing that they are actually hiring an inexperienced designer looking to build out their portfolio rather than to build a successful brand for them. I should say that these designers, through no fault of their own, simply don't know better. They went to school and learned how to design. They understand design principles. They can create logos and visual identities and have a very good artistic eye, but they do not look beyond the design of a brand a lot of times. And so all the client gets is a brand identity design. They don't get the clarity of a brand strategy that will help them to decide what is on brand and what isn't. And they also don't get the focus of a clear brand message, so they don't know what to say and how to communicate that to their future audience. So initially, everyone is happy from the situation. The small business owner, the new entrepreneur, got a brand for relatively cheap, while the designer got experience and another project for their portfolio and probably a bit of side income as well. But eventually, it's the entrepreneur who loses. The designer can go on to the next client with really no thought of the consequences of doing this design work without knowing more about branding, whereas the entrepreneur is going to likely end up getting stuck not knowing what it is they should be saying. They don't always know what to do next because they haven't clarified their purpose and how they're going to be achieving that purpose. And they eventually realize that the look they created is just not right, and they often become embarrassed to share it. And that cues the obsession to rebrand, and they end up halting all progress forward and gaining new clients. Now, the entrepreneur, aka you, if this is you, is facing reinvesting in their brand and tends to put, like I said, everything else on hold. And when that happens, their business doesn't grow. And the reason we tell ourselves that business isn't growing is because the brand isn't right yet, when really it's that we're not taking the actions necessary to grow the business. Now, I know this was a lot, but basically what happens is in this first situation is that entrepreneurs are enticed by the low prices that freelance designers offer. Freelance designers don't know what is involved in branding beyond the design work, and everyone is happy to an extent until the entrepreneur ends up losing out because they haven't gotten a clear, focused brand strategy and brand message before working on the design. The second big problem or contributing factor to this idea that branding is design and design is branding is that there are tons of software startups that refer to their clients' visual identity as branding when marketing their product. Now, this may seem kind of obscure, but the way people talk about branding in terms of design just reinforces the idea that a brand is all about design, period, end of story. Now, we know that this is incorrect. Branding is not all about design, but that is the terminology and idea most are familiar with. When we're faced with a bunch of software companies that have created a product to help us do business, we're obviously looking at what's included in the features before making a purchasing decision. And one of those features these days is often the ability to put your brand, which they mean by the logo and sometimes the colors. Very rarely they offer the ability to put your fonts on invoices or whatever it is that your software is helping you to do with your business. And while these companies are doing really well speaking their audience's language, they are also contributing to the incorrect definition of branding by implying that a brand is the design elements your company uses. So we come to the question of what is a brand after all? Now, there are a ton of definitions and none of them are all wrong, and many of them are right, but I like to think of a brand as a message that has been focused to communicate a bigger idea that helps people. That means that branding is focused on achieving a purpose, often for the clients it's looking to help. It's structured to fulfill that purpose through aligning the offers, aka courses, products, services, to do so. A brand is also often a clear understanding of what makes you different and how that difference can help certain people better than others, aka positioning. It's also a focused message that helps to communicate why that person who you can help better than others should buy from you, should buy your service or your product. So it's a lot of communication, aka message, and there is the attention-grabbing design to help better communicate that message more clearly. Now, these are, for all intents and purposes, the 5 pillars that I define and dig into in both my services and in my free 5 Pillars of Powerful Brands guide that is available for free, like I said, on my website at thebrandequip.com. If you're interested in gaining a brand clarity and actually developing a brand that serves you and your clients well, then I highly recommend checking it out. Now, before I go, I just want to reiterate, branding is not the look of things, aka the logo, colors, and fonts. It is actually the intent on helping people achieve a certain result, and it is clear and focused on what that result is and who can benefit from working with them. Now, design is literally just how all of that is communicated. I hope that this has been helpful, and I'll see you next time.